Welcome to a new episode of my Dear Kitchen in Helsinki podcast. My guests today are Roosa Heinilä and Annika Hannus, the founders of Meta-Nordic, a delicious and nutritious Finnish brand. Roosa and Annika are trying to introduce the Nordic diet and Finnish ingredients to healthy food enthusiasts within Finland and globally through their brand. In the episode, we talked about Meta-Nordic's story and its place in the food system, the Nordic diet, its health benefits, and the threats to it due to climate change. You can find more about this brand on www.metanordic.com. At the end of our discussion, Roosa and Annika asked you an interesting question, and we're looking forward to hearing about your answers in the comments on social media. As always, a special thanks to my dear friend Ufuk Evcimen for the sound editing. Welcome, Roosa and Annika, and thanks for this interview. You are the founders of the brand Meta-Nordic, and today that's what we're going to talk about mostly, but I also want to talk about the Nordic diet that you wrote about extensively on your website. But before we go into all this, can you introduce yourselves a little, your educational and maybe your professional background before Meta-Nordic and so on?
Yeah, thanks for having us on this interview. Annika, do you want to go first as our CEO?
Sure. Hi, so thanks for interviewing us. I'm Annika, and I have a background in food science. I've studied it in Helsinki University, and I've worked in a food companies, and I'm really passionate about food, and especially about Finnish food. Mm-hmm. And it was about 5 years ago when I participated the foraging course, wild food foraging course, and tasted nettle pesto. And after that, I kind of understood that I know nothing about food because that's where our Finnish food culture really lies in the authentic tastes of the wild foods. And that's when I started that's something I want to do and take this knowledge and these flavors out to the world.
Okay,
so that's pretty much in a nutshell my background. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I live in Finland in Espoo, and quite close to nice forest areas where I often spend my time.
Yeah.
And so I'm Roosa. I'm the other co-founder of Mettä Nordic. Kind of a similar story, kind of not. My background is more in business. So I seriously didn't know much about Finnish food. I moved back from the States about 4 years ago. And I went on a foraging course with my friends who happened to be part of Helsinki Wild Foods that I had met kind of through my hobbies. And I was just blown away by all the things that we can eat in Finland. And I was there was this like slight rage, like, why didn't anybody tell me about this? Like, why didn't I know? I wasn't brought up in Finland, so I didn't grow up kind of having a mother or a grandmother or somebody who would have kind of taken me out there. But yeah, it was just something that really stopped me in my footsteps. And I said, hey, this is something I want to do. And I want the world to know. I want to take this abroad and share what we have in Finland. It's so amazing, and it's so clean and so safe to eat and just fantastic. So I kind of dropped ship on what I was doing and joined the clan.
So you met through these foraging walks that you participated together, or?
Well, basically with a common friend that connected us.
And then you decide to do Meta-Nordic.
Well, first we operated on a Helsinki Wild Foods brand, and we had a book and courses, but now we're focused on the Meta brand and food.
How long has it been with the Meta brands now?
2 years, actually. Yeah. 2 years ago, we founded Meta brand. So that was after doing Helsinki Wild Foods. Annika did it for 3 years. I joined a year later.
Yeah.
So we'd been doing a lot of the food stuff, a lot of the foraging things already. And then we decided, all right, let's actually amp this up a bit and make it something that can actually work for export.
Okay.
Yeah.
So can you introduce us to your brand then? What is Meta-Nordic? And you talk a little bit personally about your aims and your desires, but in general, what is the aim of Meta-Nordic? What is Meta-Nordic?
In a nutshell, flavors from the Finnish forest. And our aim, ambition, mission, all of that is to essentially share the flavors of the Finnish forest with the rest of the world. So that goes for people in Finland, people abroad. That goes for sharing the story and sharing the flavors and creating products that are easy to use, enticing, full of flavor, and essentially transport the customer via their taste buds into the Nordic forest.
Okay. What about some of your products and production methods? Can you give some examples? And also, where do your ingredients come? Like, are they from wild food or are they grown? A little bit information on that.
Sure. It a little bit depends on a product. So all of the herbs, berries, and mushrooms, they all come from Finland. And mushrooms and berries are, of course, wild and hand-picked. And the herbs, it depends on the herb. Nettle we use is cultivated, and it's cultivated without any toxins. It's a really natural process. And some of the herbs are then hand-picked, such as flowers that we use in our teas, and birch leaf, for example, and spruce sprouts.
And they come wild.
Yeah, they are wild. So it a little bit depends, but they all come from Finland and from small suppliers, which we are really proud of. So we are able to source from small.
So, the listeners, of course, will not be able to see this, but I want to show you that I have one of your products. The nettle leaf. It says it's for cooking, seasoning, and tea, and I made a näkkileipä. The crispy.
Oh, right. Excellent.
I'm working with Omama these days, the food co-op, and I'm trying to make a näkkileipä recipe for them. So I thought, I have this nettle leaf now that I have been.
That's great.
Yeah. But then this is, for example, my example of using one of your products. What else? Can you give some examples of the uses of your products? And also, where can people find your products? I mean, I found it in Muji store in Kamppi, but where else?
Yes. Well, when we started Mettä and of course Helsinki Wild Foods, we wanted to make the use of these products really easy. And in general, it's many people know, like nettle, it stings, it grows there, but they really don't know how to use it. So the dry products we make are really easy to use. There are many ways to use them, and they have a long shelf life. So it's a kind of ecological way to use them also. So the dry products, such as the nettle, you have there in your home. You can use, like you said, in cooking. You can make tea of it. You can even use it in skincare if you like. And we are some of our products are like these plain herb crushes that you can use in many ways. Then we are selling herbal salts, herbal and mushroom salts, which are really easy. You use it like you would use any herbal salt. And then we have a nettle pesto dry product. You just add olive oil and some water, and voila, you have a really lovely pesto that you can make just one person per time if you like.
I think that's what I use the most at home.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Then we are selling these tea mixes, which are branded for tea use, such as one of our most popular products is the Calm Sleep, which consists of herbs that have a relaxing effect, and they have been used in Finland for a long to calm you down in the evening. So and then we have a detox tea, so a little bit for different purposes. But in general, all of our products are dry and quite easily you can use them in many ways. Now the new product we are making is honeys, like honeys seasoned with berries and spruce sprouts and rowan berry. So again, a quite easy to use product. And you can buy our products from Ruohonjuuri stores.
And that's all around Finland?
Yeah, and online, of course. And then from Muji, like you said, and from food market Herkkus, like this in the Stockmann stores.
Yeah.
And then we have quite a many online retailers. You can, from our web pages, we have a good list of places you can order, and we ship globally. Well, our partners ship globally, so you can anywhere in the world you can actually order Mettä products now. It's pretty cool.
when you say you ship globally, did COVID affect all the restrictions and everything affect your work since last year at all?
Yeah, I think the biggest effect on us has been the effect on tourism. So because we're an export company, one of the easiest way to kind of target also export customers is airports, hotel chains, even travel agencies in Finland, and all of that has pretty much just been driven down because of COVID, and Finland has kept the borders closed since last March. So it's definitely taken a big hit on us in that way. On the other side, it's been really nice to see how Finns have wanted to support small Finnish companies, and that's kind of, been a nice thing on the home front, that I feel people want to buy. Really, they want to buy local, much more than just saying they want to buy local. So that's a cool thing.
Now, well, you're not doing a mass production. You're a rather small and boutique brand. So how do you place Meta-Nordic within the local food system in Finland?
Well, I think what comes to mind first for me is responding to that question. So how do we place it in the food system? Essentially, we buy from a lot of small producers, and we essentially brand the products and then try to spread them further. So in that way, I really like what we do, that we get to help a lot of the small producers who make like literally amazing products that maybe no one has heard of or known, because you can't do everything. And when you're a small producer, you just don't have the resources, and it would be ridiculous to have them to do the marketing and the selling as well. And that's what we aim to do, is help share the story.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. And we are not in the market, so we would like to say that we are that everyone in Finland enjoys our products, but we are still quite in the beginning of our journey. Mm-hmm. But we are there where, for example, from ruohonjuuri, there are a lot of people who are very interested of the food they eat, and they know how it affects on the climate, and they like our pouch. We have a 100% compostable pouch. Mm-hmm. So
okay.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about sustainability. Now, first of all, what are your views on sustainability, especially food sustainability, and for our listeners who are maybe not so much knowledgeable on sustainability? What is especially your definition on sustainability?
Ooh, what is our definition of sustainability? Well, one thing I know I always kind of fall back on is that it's not just environmental sustainability, it's also social sustainability and also economic sustainability. And trying to combine those three kind of main pillars in a tiny company is pretty challenging at times. So how do we do things that are sustainable from the perspective of the environment, that we're not making products that are actually creating more harm than what they're bringing good, and that we can actually do it in the long run, leaving further generations with the same resources that we had? Mm-hmm. How can we do that in a way that's also economically sustainable? So in a way where people can actually manage to buy our products, so that the price isn't ridiculously high, because we are quite a premium product. And just to be clear to all the listeners, we're a premium product, not because we have huge margins, but because we actually make really good products that are 100% Finnish, made in Finland. We aim to minimize the logistics. So we don't want to ship ingredients abroad to be packaged for cheaper, to then ship them back to Finland to be warehoused, to then ship them back abroad again. Mm-hmm. We don't want to buy ingredients from abroad where we don't know how they've been grown, what are their effects on the climate there. We know that the ingredients we buy grow naturally in Finland without pesticides, herbicides, they're natural growing ingredients in our forest. So in that way, it's very sustainable in and of itself. Mm-hmm. And finally, how to do this socially sustainably as well. And that comes down to, the very kind of, how do we say, ruohonjuuritaso, like down to the basics, which is that we as entrepreneurs do it in a way that's sustainable for us. So we're not running, a 100-meter race. We're in it for the marathon, to create something that is of true value to our customers. Yeah. So sustainability has a lot of perspectives, and some of the, the main things we do is that we buy from Finland, we package dry, we operate completely in Finland. That means we're minimizing logistics. We're packaging in these compostable pouches, which for us is really important because essentially we leave no trace behind. Our products have really long life cycles, or what's it called, shelf lives. Yeah. So, we're minimizing food waste. Pesto is a great example of that, because usually pestos, the day you open them, they're good for a couple of days or max a week in the fridge. But our pesto is good for a couple of years, literally, even if the date doesn't tell you that. But like, they're very sustainable in that sense.
And we pack in very small batches, so that just ensure that we're going to sell everything we pack. So and that's also one thing that of course affects on the price. If we would pack 1 million pouches per time, of course the price would be different, but
then the consumer would not have such a long time to use the product.
I think I see that. I mean, I've been living here in Finland for a bit more than 10 years now, so even in my lifetime here, I'm seeing more and more people being like increasing awareness on, especially where your food or your ingredients are coming from. So in that sense, I think people would be very happy to be buying your product, because they know for sure how they are produced or where they're coming from. That there aren't any hidden in between processes or some things about the logistics that hides under the banner of organic or local or 100%
exactly.
local. So this is good. And do you receive any feedback from? Do you have any regular customers, or from any customers? Have you received any feedback?
Well, we function mostly B2B. So our customers are resellers. So essentially that's where we would get most of our feedback from. But it is every time that we do get, somebody contacts us, like a consumer who'd bought our product somewhere, it's really nice to hear their thoughts. And I do know that our retailers do appreciate that we have compostable pouches and that we've kind of made that effort. It's just always a fine balance between keeping the price so that we're not blocking people from buying them because the price is simply too high, but also making sure that it's something that's not going to be creating a lot of trash in this world.
I think especially the nettle pesto has received a lot of positive feedback, since it's quite a different product that consumers are used to. When we are giving tasters or whatever, it's always like, whoa, you made this out of dried mix. So I think that's been really like a really nice.
I'm getting now really curious about that pesto.
Yeah, you have to try it.
We will send you a basket of products for this, so you can test.
So now moving on to the Nordic Diet. Now, if people want to read about what you wrote, they can go to your website, and you wrote quite long about the Nordic Diet and so on. But here, let's talk a little bit more about it. First of all, you yourself write a little bit at the beginning about, for example, Nordic Diet becoming more and more, or people are becoming more and more aware of the Nordic diets and its benefits. And before that, it was more Mediterranean diet that was more well known, and that is still, well, I come from Turkey, so I am all about Mediterranean diet, but of course I'm incorporating as much as I can the Nordic ingredients, and some things that I like, mushrooms, for example. I became aware of what actually mushrooms are after I came here. So can you talk about the benefits of the Nordic diet, especially in some kind of comparison, maybe, if you like, with Mediterranean diet as well? And also, what is Nordic diet? What does it consist of?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind for me is they say that the Nordic diet is actually pretty close to the Mediterranean diet in the way that there's like these good fats, and there's white fish, and there's, the vegetables in the Nordic diet are mostly root vegetables versus the vegetables that would grow above the ground in the Mediterranean diet. But, I think I told you last week, I read that the WHO is now recommending the Nordic diet just as much as it is the Mediterranean diet as a kind of health thing.
Yeah, and I think the main difference to Mediterranean diet is the extreme seasons we have here, the harsh winters and the long summers, because they make our vegetables and berries and mushrooms, they are really like nutritious. The environment here like forces the plants to grow this extra
resistance.
Extra resistance. So it's whereas the Mediterranean plants, they live there in the sun and they can take it easy most of the year. Whereas here they have to fight to survive. So of course they've learned to grow these extra powers, I would say. So it's really, really, really nutritious. Let's say you would eat more like a wild dandelion, for example. It contains 10 times more nutrients than a regular
rucola.
What is rucola?
Rucola.
Yeah, or some herbs you can buy from stores, basil or whatever. And the berries, of course, it's so much like the wild bilberries that grow in our forest. If you compare that to the berries that you would cultivate in
Spain or in the south,
it's a huge difference in
and that's in the
nutrients,
flavonoids
and not just the nutrients, but also the I don't know all the
antioxidants.
And these anthocyanins, which are the active compounds in berries. There's a quite big difference that the environment here makes. And then there's, of course, let's say the fats we can cultivate here, hemp, which has a really good balance in the fatty acids. So that's something that's coming more and more popular to part of the Nordic diet.
Yeah, I think for me, especially coming from Turkey, the first things that I had to learn a lot more was these root vegetables, even though, of course, we have root vegetables as well, but there is a grand variety of them here. And I'm still, even this day, after 10 years, I'm still learning something new. Like I tried mustajuuri. I think it's salsify, black salsify in English.
I don't even know what that is in English.
I tried it for the first time just a few weeks ago when I got it from my Omama food bag. Like, okay, I always saw it in the market as something like, what is it, like a branch of a tree or something? It looks weird for me, but it was so delicious, and I completely didn't expect at all what I found after I peeled that wooden sort of peel. But yeah. But then, okay, when we say Nordic diet, of course, we're talking about a grand region. But then within the Nordic countries, are there any differences in the Nordic diet? And maybe how does Finland, for example, differ than the others? What are the things that are, if there are, very specific to Finland?
Well, there's huge differences because the Nordic countries is Finland, Sweden, Norway, Denmark, Iceland, and Greenland. Greenland, they eat whale and ice, what's that called? Polar bears. I was like, ice bears, polar bear. Even within Finland, you go north to Lapland and they eat a lot more reindeer, for example, than in the south. We go to Norway, they eat a lot more, I think, all kinds of merenelävät, so seafood, because they have the big Atlantic Ocean. Same with Denmark. And then there's the countries, Finland, Sweden, which are enclosed in the Baltic, which is not at all the same fish or seafood.
And I would say that in Finland, because of our background, because the war, and we had to survive with a really small exported foods, we learned to forage the berries, the herbs and mushrooms. I would say maybe more than the Swedish, maybe, because we've had a quite harsh like a background, so we kind of had to learn to use those, and now in recent years it's coming back. Let's say 20 years ago it wasn't maybe that popular to eat the middle, because then the exported products were more valued, but now it's coming back that people were asking from our grandparents that please tell us all the knowledge you had, because our parents are not that aware, but our grandparents used to. So I think it's coming back. So I would say that maybe Finland difference a little bit in that we the berries and herbs and mushrooms have they played a big part in our past and our food.
They were a necessity.
So, but then of course, as anything else in the world these days, the Nordic diet is also very much related to the climate, and there is a climate change happening in rather alarming proportions. So what are the threats to the current Nordic diet due to the climate change? And how do you view then Nordic diet from the point of also environmental sustainability?
Yeah, well, that's of course a big issue that because we need the harsh winters and the seasonal change. So if that changes quite fast, the species that grow here, they don't have time to adapt to the change. So it probably, luckily Finland is a quite wide country. So what we have here in the south could maybe go to a little bit
migrate further north.
But of course that's a big threat, and other big threat is that our forest areas, there are, even though our country, there are a lot of forests here, but they are not these natural forests. So and the berries and mushrooms and certain species, they need that certain kind of forest. Yeah, they need the diversity to. So that's one threat also.
And forests that are managed are often less diverse. Another big threat, I think, is diseases. So diseases that we have in Central Europe.
Warmer, that's one reason why the Finnish food is so clean, because we have the certain climate which is quite cold compared to the Mediterranean countries. If the temperature gets warmer, then like Roosa said, we would need to use probably more pesticides, which I hope never happens. But that's one thing that keeps our food so clean, is that we don't need that much.
And obviously, like what we face often is changes in prices of raw ingredients due to changes in climate that happen, and with climate change, changes are more and more radical. So we might have a really hot phase, really cold phase, a really wet phase, really dry phase, and all of this affects the harvest.
Exactly.
And that makes it way more complicated to have a company like this in the natural foods.
Yeah, every summer we like afraid that is it gonna be too hot, because the berries are really like sensitive for that, and then that can double the price if it's like a really hot summer or so.
Yeah, I mean, again, within the 10 years, I've seen a really big difference, especially in summer. I didn't, when I first came here, I spent maybe the first couple of summers I remember wearing trench coats quite often, but now, I mean, it's like sauna all the time.
Yeah.
So, but then a bit like, just finally, just to sum up, to go back to Meta Nordic, what is the future of Meta Nordic? Do you have any different plans and collaborations? Something?
Well, we are working on interesting things. One big thing is that we will be joining the organic certification program. Quite a lot of ingredients we use at the moment are organic also. For example, berries can be wild at the same time as organic if the whole forest area is certified as organic. But we're not able to tell that yet because we're not part of the system. So that's one thing, and then we're gonna
really exciting new products.
Exciting new products coming up, and
we're working on some new export countries. So obviously Corona has affected quite a lot the export to the Asian countries and access there. So we've started to focus on a couple new countries in Europe. So that's really exciting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I've been looking forward to it, especially the pesto. Now I can't think of anything but pesto right now.
Yeah. You have to try it.
Yeah, I have to. But these are all my questions. So do you have any final thoughts and comments? And also, what is one question that you would like to ask the listeners to make them think further?
Well, I would be interesting to hear that many people say that they are really interested of the natural products, and I mean herbs, berries, and mushrooms, and that they would like to use them more. Is there some like ideas people could give us? Let's say that someone would like to have them more into their breakfast or whatever. We would be really happy to hear, because many people say that they are interested, but then they still haven't quite found our products, or they still find them too like a complicated or that would be really like a valuable knowledge to hear.
Well, and then I urge all our listeners to give ideas, and also, of course, I know quite a lot of foreigners living in Finland who are, as much as me, exposed to these new ingredients and different kinds of berries and mushrooms. I'm also interested to hear their experiences with what they find out when they come here related to new kinds of food.
Yeah.
But so thank you. This was really nice, and I wish you good luck with the new products and the future of your brand. And okay, that's it from me. So bye.
Well, thank you very much.
So much.
This was really nice. Bye bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode. If you want to know more about the blog behind this podcast, check out www.mydearkitcheninhelsinki.com and find it also on Instagram and Facebook. Have a delicious week.